Today I've got the beater in the main lift bay before I work on Dr. Wags. The reason this car is on the lift, or will be shortly, is because when I'm going around a very slight left-hand bend and I hit a change in pavement, I hear a fairly disconcerting clunk from the front, seems like front right. So I feel like I've got a sway bar end link going out, but I do want to make sure it's not a ball joint before I start this season. Plus, it's just a time to see how this car is actually holding up with completely stock everything at almost 150,000 miles. I forget just how insanely large all of the components are on these vehicles, but man, they are heavy duty. I smacked everything with a hammer, and it seems like we're all okay down here. However, I do feel like I heard something from that upper wishbone, so I'm gonna drop it back down just a little bit and hit that again just to see. But everything over here, over on this side, over here seemed okay. Even the axle boots are amazingly still okay after 150K. So I don't see any leakage from the shocks, or struts, I guess, in this case. It's kind of incredible. I mean, I don't do a lot of super intense jumping of the car or anything, but honestly, I'm pretty happy with how this thing's holding up overall. I'm not quite at 150K, but I'm quite close. I think I will be doing brakes probably next year. Those are probably the next item, but everything still seems okay. And this is the side that took that huge pothole hit earlier this year. So overall, pretty good. Even the hitch is still hanging on all right. Very nice. Nope, even this seems okay. Not really sure what the heck the car's on about, but pretty confident in saying that I'm okay with its current state for another winter. Check this side too. Definitely a little rusty. Those are some of the only steel parts I've ever seen. What the heck? Piece of fruit or something over there? Interesting. That's pretty much the only rusty part I've seen on this car, since most of it's aluminum. But nope, I think she is she's good to go. So it must be a top mount or something like that. But if it's top mount, I don't really care. Quick struts for this car are like $100, so if I have to deal with that next year, it is what it is. Cool. I'll take it. Clean bill of health. Now on to Dr. Wags. All right. What a good car. I'm a little bit bummed she's actually going to be, oh, no copyrights. She's actually going to be replacing this thing next year with a Volvo V60 Recharge, which, great car. I recommended it as the only thing on the market that I would potentially look at. But still not nearly as cool as an msport diesel BMW wagon. All right, neutral, power off. Original brakes at 124,700 miles. Incredible. And it automatically puts it in park. Why? I left it in neutral on purpose. I don't know, guys. I'm starting to think the tire shop might have just done something wrong, because these look fantastic. But yeah, they're shaking quite a bit. So either way, we're going to do them. We have the parts. Parts are cheap, but I have a feeling that these didn't die for natural causes. Holy God. Those are practically brand new. So this thing has definitely had brakes. I'm confused. Oh. I definitely feel run out, but I also feel that this maybe hasn't fully released. Obviously we have the strain from the all-wheel drive system, but definitely gonna have to make sure this caliper is fully lubed. Huh. There's a little bit of a ridge on that rotor, but I mean, these are definitely 75% still there, so I'm really confused. These were either done at the dealer or I did them, because these are E-coated rotors. And it's the same deal over here. Very, very strange, but we do have some run out. So I'm wondering if these rotors are just I'm not going to say defective, but maybe defective. A little bit strange. Again, that's quite a bit of a ridge, so I do wonder if maybe this was pad slapped at some point. It's entirely possible. But let's get it all ripped apart. First step's going to be pulling the actual big bolts out of the caliper carrier here. We're going to be pulling the little backs of the caps off here. The 7mm guide pins out. We're going to pull the center portion, anti-rattle clip. Get all that taken apart, moved out of the way. We'll take a look at the condition of the guide pins. We'll get those cleaned up with a wire brush and some grease. Then we'll swap out the pads. We'll change out the disc with this little 6mm here, making sure that the mating surface looks fantastic. It does look like the tire shop hit the face of the other one, so we'll make sure we hit this one as well. But overall, everything still looks like it's in pretty good condition. In fact, better condition than I would have thought, but this disc looks nicer than the other one. Maybe it's just because it's better lighting over here. I think these must have been done at another shop. I don't see any markings on these brake pads, so they're not originals, but also everything I buy is from, you know, Centric or Raybestos or Power Stop or Bosch or something like that, and they all have printing on the pads, so I'm really, really confused there. The pads kind of still look fine. I mean, they haven't even worn fully into the bevel, but it does look like they were maybe not wearing evenly. So I'm not sure. And again, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but well, maybe I spoke too soon. They would have had some laser etching on the top. These are Raybestos pads. So maybe if I try to clean these off, there's actually some writing on the pad material. I may do that just out of sheer morbid curiosity, but man, I am so confused. Next up, go ahead and pull the caliper carrier. See one of our bolts there, another one right up here. Then we'll move on to the actual brake disc or rotor itself. I sure hope whoever did this wasn't me. However, not awful. The set screw came out like it had been rusted in place for 8 years, so I'm not really sure, but I did notice earlier that we do have some printing on this rotor, so I'm going to clean this up right now and see if I can see a brand or a date or anything on it. Well, nothing very useful on there, unfortunately. It says China, but I mean, everyone makes their crap in China. I see a part number, so I don't know what's going on there, but we definitely need to clean up this face because we're going to have some serious run out if we leave that alone. Well, that was a pain in the ass. Yeah, there was definitely some rust jacking going on here, so hopefully I got that well enough. I think I did, but I might try to get a more aggressive wire brush and run over that just before I put everything back on, because I think that's definitely where our shaking came from, rust jacking. So, although this was a coated rotor, the hub had its way with it pretty easily. We have a lot of road salt here in Minnesota, so again, I just want to make sure this is as good as I can get before we pop it back on here. Okay, got some anti-seize on there, got the disc on. Oh my gosh. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean up the caliper carrier. Throw some anti-seize on these as well. Get those ramrodded back in. Then pads, sensor, caliper, and then we'll move to the other side. All right, there are the guide pins. They don't look awful, but not great either. So I'll clean those up. We'll get grease on these. Throw those back in the calipers, and then we'll get the pads in. We'll get them mounted, and we should be in better shape. Okay, well, the last step is just going to be putting on the anti-rattle clip. And these Raybestos pads did come with a new one. However, it wasn't BMW branded. And I'm kind of a sucker for the aesthetic, so let me see if I can do this one-handed. Yep, that's tough. Anyway, there we go. So what I'm hearing there is there is a teeny bit of run out, which I don't love, but I sauced that bad boy within an inch of its life, and some of that could be coming from the retaining screw as well. So we'll give some hard brakes once we get this thing on the road, but I got all that lubed back together, torqued. Everything is in good shape now here. So I'm gonna go to the other side off camera just because it is literally the same thing, but let's get her all set down once we're done and take it for a test drive. And we're done. I got the run out absolutely nailed on the other side. And just for my own personal Curiosity. Centric 104 15510. Man, I can't even read that. FF42R21. I'm not sure, but that is a centric pad, which means very likely that I indeed did do this brake job. Maybe I can find the order and figure out what exactly went wrong, but those would not have been centric rotors because I only use E-coated rotors. I'm not really sure. The rear still looks fantastic. I'm guessing those were done at the exact same time. And yeah, those look like they're holding up just fine too. But either way, Dr. Wags should be in much better shape now. I'll feel very good about whoever this thing ends up going to in the spring, because this car has been maintained beyond any sort of factory maintenance booklet, I'll tell you that. Okay, let's drop it down and take it for a drive. After any brake job, the first couple things are going to be a few very light and gentle brake pedal pumps until we get some pressure. All right, good. What we're doing there is refilling the calipers, or letting them re-extend, I guess I should say. Because as we're doing a brake job, we are pushing the pistons back in, which is actually pushing the fluid back into the reservoir. So since my garage door opener isn't working, give me just a sec, close that up, and let's go for a drive. Well, everything feels absolutely fantastic, which I'm very happy about. So I must have gotten the run out good enough. And that's very likely going to be the last piece of service I ever do to this car. Unless it, of course, I guess it sells to a friend. But anyway, thanks for following along. I know brake jobs are not exactly the most interesting thing in the entire world, but I don't have a whole lot else to record these days. So there we go. The 2016 328D msport Dr. Wags. No longer shaky.